It is week 15 of the fantasy playoffs. We just got through our first game. Going to be building some pick'em slips. Going to be debriefing last night's game. Going to be talking about fantasy football, NFL, doing some gauntlet drafts. Let's get it. My name is Liam Murphy. If you are new, a 3-time best ball champion, excited here to hang out with all of you. Good morning, Alex. What's up, House Play? Happy Friday, Jack. What's up, Proper? House Mix is joking here. Let's go. Let's all split first. But I could definitely see, if you're not in the gambling space, something that's very common in, say, poker tournaments is if you and someone you respect or just your friend or whatever is deep in the tournament together, you might split some equity, right? So for example, last year Herzig and I both had 6 semifinal teams in the BBM4 or BBM3 playoffs, and he asked me if I wanted to do a 10% swap if either of us won 100K plus. So there's no swap if we don't. It was only on the 6 BBM4 teams. And why do you do that? It's just to smooth out some of the variance of playing for first. When I won BBM2, this was on my mind. Obviously you can't accept a handshake deal for some of stuff like this. And for poker, some tournaments do organize this, some do not. So you just have to trust someone or whatever, which I'm not down to do with strangers, depending on what the situation is. So yeah, I could see that being something that sites offer going forward, but who knows? Yeah, I mean, if you have let's say that you and a couple of your friends in your home league draft BBM4 teams, something that I think is logical for you to do for BBM5, like you and your 5 friends or whatever, would be to be like, all right, boys, if any of us get a team to the finals, let's all do a X% equity swap. And it could be small. It could be a 5% swap. It could be a 1% swap, whatever. If your boy wins $3 million or you do, just shares the fun there. I did not I've never done a Survivor contest. I really like the concept of them and would love to do it, but it requires you to have a proxy in Vegas, which I don't know. I was in Vegas. It just seemed like a lot to get set up, so I never did it, so I've not been following it. But I am a little bit aware of what's going on. I know that there's 19 guys left or something like that. Maybe girls. Before we jump into making slips, going to be pretty quick on the slips today. Just going to dive into the vibes and pick the guys who I think are going to have good weeks. Got to debrief last night's game a little bit, talk about whatever news as well. The Raiders just embarrassed the Chargers. It seems like the Chargers players just actively quit on Brandon Staley. Or they're just like a collection of plumbers and electricians that do not deserve being in the NFL. I said on Twitter that maybe this is something we need to start baking into our process for something like best ball. That got people really riled up. People hate when you try to grind really thin theoretical edges. And people brought up the point of no one would have said the Chargers. No one would have said the Chargers would be a team like this. I don't agree with that fully. if we do this, because we saw the Broncos do this last year, they gave up and the Rams scored like 50 on them in the fantasy playoffs. But if you are trying to think through coaches that are going to be fired and or teams would quit on, I would definitely not choose like an awful team. For example, like the Raiders is a team who I would think would fire their coach early. The Chargers, if they do fire their coach, it's because things went wrong, and Herbert's probably good enough to keep him in there. So, yeah, I do think the Chargers would have fit the bill. Don't get me wrong. Is this going to be something I solely focus on? Of course not. But it's a reality what we are dealing with the consequences of this happening. Chargers next two opponents, Bills, and then Broncos. So we'll see what they figure out with their roster. Zamir White, I think, is a really great reminder. Last night we saw Devontae Adams turn in a usable week. We saw Zamir White give a usable week. We saw Jacoby Myers get there. We saw Michael Mayer give you a usable week. And I think Zamir White is a really good reminder that a lot of research that tries to define what worked in a given best ball season really, really misses the mark when it's descriptive. For example, anything that's like, this roster construction led to X amount of finals teams, whatever. Well, you just have to realize how binary some of this stuff is, right? So, sure, if you drafted a 0 running back team and you landed on Kyron Williams, boom, your team's awesome. If you drafted Jerome Ford, you got the benefit of Nick Chubb getting hurt early. Was the Zamir White pick an actively worse pick than Jerome Ford? I think last night showed us no. There was actually very little difference between those two picks. Nick Chubb just got hurt early and Josh Jacobs got hurt late. So, thinking through things like that, like if you drafted a lot of Zamir White, you probably thought like, man, I can't believe I drafted this total 0 all year. And I mean, the truth there is no, you didn't, right? Like we knew what we needed for the Zamir White likely was a Josh Jacobs injury. I think it's okay if you thought Josh Jacobs was going to get hurt more often this year due to the amount of carries he had last year. Some research supports that. Some claims that's malarkey, but whatever. That's a process no matter what. And then also, it's very possible that the Raiders coaching staff of Josh McDaniels and crew were just mega donkeys, and maybe Zamir White's actually like really good at football. That's not out of the realm of possibility. So, as far as how I would rank last night's performances, I mean, so few AOC and Trey Tucker teams out there, like whatever. Josh Palmer, there's probably a couple of Josh Palmer teams that got really lucky on a blown coverage. No, I would not think that that's sticky going forward. He's a random week 15 dart. Definitely feel the Zamir and Mayer points are more impactful than Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams was a first-round pick, obviously compared to 18th round picks, turning in near usable weeks. And yeah, I mean, fantasy football's a weird game. I would not count your chickens if you have a nice score. I would feel, I'd be feeling nice if I had a lot of those players. I got a lot of Zamir, a lot of Mayer, some Myers, no Adams. I was out on Adams this year, which honestly, I kind of like that Adams had a good score this week because I want to be facing Adams teams week 16, week 17, because I still don't believe in Adams, ceiling, punishing me. Are they going to be facing a team that quit on their coach every week? No. So I want to be facing those teams with my Steph Diggs, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, Tony Pollard, whatever. Personally. So yeah, that's debriefing there. Alexander Madison ruled out. I don't know if I said that yesterday. CJ Stroud officially not playing. Hopefully he is playing by next week. Nico Collins officially not playing. So yeah, gonna try not to go super long today. Let's just get into these games. So there are Saturday games and there are Sunday games this week. My cat's acting silly. Unfortunately, I don't know. We are getting lines. Okay. Cincinnati is awful at defending tight ends, 32nd in the NFL. Small hiccup here is Justin Jefferson has said he's going to play. Seems like kind of a high line for him. B, Nick Mullins is supposed to be the starter. And I can't quite remember, nor have I gone back and grinded the Nick Mullins historical targets. He used to be the 49ers backup, I believe, and elsewhere. Let's look up his career. I don't know who Nick Mueller is. Yeah, he was with the 49ers. Okay. I kind of remember him as like really ruthlessly targeting George Kittle, which would be good for TJ Hawkinson plus the best matchup. But I don't know. With this uncertainty, we'll probably stay away from now. Ty Chandler, de facto running back, he's in a good spot as an explosive runner. No Madison, no Cam Akers. I don't even know who the RB2 is going to be there. Is Dwayne McBride still on their practice squad? Let's see here if anyone else got in the game. Kenny Nwangwu, I guess, is the RB2. He's like a special team standout. So yeah, let's just get out of this game. Jake Browning stuff. Maybe you could go there. I don't ever know what to do with Tanner Hudson, who always has strong target per out run numbers, but then runs like 5 routes a game. Pitt at Indy, no. Let's get to the games I got a good feel on. Dallas at Buffalo. All right. So let's check in on our guy, Stephon Diggs. Are they hanging us a low line because of the disappointing weeks? They are. Yeah, I like the higher on receiving yards. The Bills running 12 personnel. Now, Dalton Kincaid is in a red non-contact jersey with a thumb and shoulder injury. My guess is he plays full allotment of snaps. He seemed fine. Diggs' target numbers in 12 personnel just goes up. And Kansas City plays defense different than Dallas. Dallas plays an aggressive defense that can get burned by a big play, a la we saw what DK Metcalf did versus them. Diggs is good against man defense. He just dropped a lot of balls this game too. So I'm going to take the recency bias on this and take the higher on Diggs. I like the tight end matchup too for Kincaid and Knox. And I mean, we might take the lower on Khalil Shakir because I'm guessing his routes are going to be down to like 50% this week. Shorty and Latavius Murray seems decent. Cook seems okay. I don't know who I like best on Dallas's side. Wide receiver ones against Buffalo have not really gotten there this year at all. They also are one of the top teams against tight ends, but when you look into who they've played this year, they've played like no good tight ends at all. So that kind of makes me like Jake Ferguson, who's just has had, strong games coupled with the zone D Buffalo plays, coupled with Micah Hyde ruled out for this game. Their free safety, kind of a big injury for them. makes me like Ferguson the best as the bring back. I like Pollard too, especially the receiving yards, because if Buffalo pours it on Dallas early or blows them out, it's going to be a lot of checkdowns to Pollard, getting him back in there. But let's roll with this mini for now. Rams game. Everyone knows that Washington is bad against outside wide receivers. The thing about the Rams, though, is like they don't have any burners on their team. You know, like Puka Nacua, Cup, no Tutu Atwell. They don't have any like fast person to like do what Tyreek Hill did to them, for example. So it makes me like Kyron. I wish they were hanging a fantasy points because I just like the concept of like them moving the ball at will, but then Kyron taking all of the touchdowns. It also could just the Rams have been extremely run heavy as of late, kind of saving Stafford. And so yeah, they're not giving me any line I really want to play on with the Rams, but rushing yards, maybe rushing attempts, in a blowout too. I could see that. Yeah. We lose on injury is what it is. I don't know. We'll keep on looking, trying to find two lines we like better. Jets at Miami. Let's see what we're getting on Breece Hall receptions. 4 receptions after back-to-back weeks of 8, 6, 7. It's a high line. Miami got pretty decimated, honestly. Like, might not have Tyreek Hill. They lost a bunch of their O-line. I like the Breece Hall check down thesis. Atlanta game has got... My cat's causing ruckus. Hold on. Let me open this window for this cat. He wants to look outside. All right. There you go. Atlanta game's going to have some bad weather. So let's see what we're getting here. Let's just take the higher on Bijan rushing yards. Yeah, I mean, Carolina's got some reinforcements, but the rain and, like, we're probably going to get a bunch of turnovers from what's-his-face, Bryce Young. I don't hate the Bryce Young rushing yards. All right, let's get one more pick in here. Let's see what they're giving us on Jaden Reed. Kind of high. Let's check on Rashee Rice here. And let's try to short Zeke. What do we got on Zeke? So I do think Parker and Douglas being active impact Zeke significantly for how many targets he can expect to get, which is something people were ignoring on the Zeke League winner. 19.5 is kind of a low line, though, for a team that could be trying to catch up. Kansas City still has some injuries on defense. They're getting some guys back. And Zappy just loves to check it down regardless. So let's see what they're hanging on Amon-Ra with the recent duds as of late. Yeah, let's take the higher on Amon-Ra receptions. So you heard the logic for some of these picks. Tail at your own risk. Hopefully we win again. Let's make one more pick 5 here. And get into some gauntlet drafts. Philly at Seattle. Geno's likely playing. They're not giving us any Geno lines. Yeah, I like Metcalf receiving the most. Let's get him in there. Houston at Tennessee. I don't know if we can do anything with the Davis Mills show. No. Okay, let's short some guys. Let's take under on Cook's receiving yards. I'm a little worried with the safety banged up, but still doesn't seem great for him. And let's couple it this time with higher on Pollard receiving. Stick with Diggs receiving. And we'll go over on 5 catches for Kincaid. Okay. Feel like this slip better? Do some peppers. All right. We got to do one pepper one. Can you sort by peppers? Can you not sort by peppers? That's annoying. Or scorchers. Maybe I can type in scorcher. What's usually, let's see what the language is on a scorcher. We can look that up. It's usually like 0.5 space touch. .5 fumbles lost. I do want to do a scorcher only one. All right, fine. We'll just manually do it. Let's look into the Dallas Buffalo one. Let's give out some scorches. Obviously, the scorchers are very difficult to get. We're gonna go higher on. We got Kincaid in a touchdown and Diggs. They're both getting there. We got Ferguson getting in there. No scorcher on Kyron. Makes sense. See if they'll scorch us up for Atlanta. Any scorcher on Bijan? No. What about on Jaden Reed? Any scorches? All right. A little scorch there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need one more scorch. Let's see if Rashee Rice has a scorch. Yes. Okay. So what happens if you bet $100 on this? What happens if you bet $10? All right, we'll do a $10 bet on this scorch only. $10. If you get all 5 correct, you get 1,000. Be careful, because the scorchers are obviously poor. Like they're hard. You know, I need a touchdown from Kincaid, Diggs, Ferguson, Reed, and Rice. Good luck, us though. Okay. Enough of our pick'ems. Good luck, us. Good luck, you, if you tailed. So, Underdog's got a couple things going on. They released the mittens, the big mittens, which are basically just the gauntlets, but smaller. I'm going to stick to the gauntlet for now. Let's go. We're going to bankrupt Underdog here. Yeah, the Scorchers are for the D-Gens, unquestionably. You know what? Instead of doing 2 pick'em slips a week, maybe we'll just do Scorcher only. I did 1 Scorcher only slip, and I almost won. And it had Kincaid, Diggs, and Latavius Murray scorch in the same lineup, and Latavius Murray got stuffed at the 1 like 3 times. The other Diggs and Kincaid scored that week though. Scorches. I grew up in New England, so. Yeah, so let's see how things have changed in this market. The Bills players have definitely risen in ADP. They used to be free. If you plan to volume draft the gauntlet, obviously leaning into uncertainty is your friend. I think there is an argument that last week Bill Stack should have been the only thing you were doing, and it was the only thing I was trying to do because they were the only team whose ADP could rise. So the little mitten filled in a day. Oh yes, it did. And don't worry, guys, if you're having FOMO about these playoff contests, there will be more. CMC, easy 101. Do I like drafting 5 from the same team? I don't like doing the same thing in any case. I think in something like this has such a big final that, yeah, 5 players having extra darts if you get there makes sense. Last week, I said it made no sense at all that Tyreek Hill was the 102 because Miami is not good enough to make the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Seems like the market has now agreed with me. He went from the 102 to the 104 and probably falling. Am I doing playoff weekly winners? Maybe a couple just for the sweat, but the prize doesn't seem huge. But yeah, we'll do one after this for you, Paul. Seems like it's going to be harder and harder to get the San Fran players. There's a real argument that Debo and Ayuk should just be the 102 and 103. We're gonna go with Philly though. I think Philly's gonna limp into the playoffs as they should. Arguably should have lost 3 in a row, but in a 1 game, just got to win that game. I like their chances to turn it on. The AFC is suddenly weak. I don't know, Jack. I mean, when you look at the NFC, you get teams that are like 6 and 7 are in the playoffs right now. That's not the case in the AFC. At the top end, though, I agree. Baltimore has played no good quarterbacks at all. 0. We don't know anything about Baltimore. We're going to know a little bit more about Baltimore. But so far, the Baltimores have beaten where's his first game? They beat the banged up Burrow. They lost to Daniel Jones and the Giants. They beat Watson. They beat Mayfield. They beat Carr. This is 2022. Why the F is this showing me 2022? Right? Or am I high there? Okay, yeah. They beat Stroud. They beat banged up Burrow. They lost to Gardner Minshew. They beat whoever was the Browns quarterback that week. They lost to Kenny Pickett. They beat Ryan Tannehill. They destroyed Jared Goff, probably the most impressive win. They barely beat Dobbs. They destroyed Geno. They lost to DTR, whoever that was. I don't know. They beat Jake Browning Bengals in his first game. They beat Herbert. And they almost just lost to the Rams. And now they finish with a hobbled Trevor, Brock Purdy, who is a great team, but I don't think much of, I don't think we know much about how good their quarterback is. Sure, this seems good enough to me. Get the Bills in there with the Eagles. But yeah, I mean, we don't know anything about the Ravens. So a hobbled Trevor, Brock Purdy, who's a great team and maybe a great quarterback. I don't know. And then Tua and the Dolphins and the Steelers. So like they don't play the Josh Allens of the world. They didn't get to play a healthy Burrow. So I think they're a good team, but we don't really know. And the Dolphins are like almost more egregious. Let's look at this stuff. The Dolphins are going to be battle tested because they finish with the Cowboys, the Ravens, and the Bills. But they've just beat some bad teams, and they've not beaten the good teams they had a choice or they had a chance against. And even the Cowboys. The Cowboys are just kind of a victim of their schedule, but they played the 49ers. They played Hurts twice, the best quarterback they faced. And now they're in the real stretch. I would say, they get Buffalo this week. So yeah, not many battle tested teams out there. I don't think the Chiefs are good enough, but yeah, especially if the Bills do not make the playoffs, they got a chance. And obviously, like, they got a decent chance to make the Super Bowl. I think there's a real argument that the Bills are the best team on the AFC side if they make the playoffs, though. Okay, let's get James Cook, cover our running back spot here. And now we need to decide what we're doing. I guess we'll just take Gibbs. He can play for 2 Super Bowls this way. What is it, Puma? Gonna let my cat out. Bills Eagles is the people Super Bowl. Bills Niners would be fun. And yeah, I think that would be like a true coin flip, or maybe even San Fran favored a little bit, assuming everyone's healthy. Bills Eagles would just be fun. I mean, the 2 fantasy QB, 1 and 2, both defenses kind of banged up. Like, you don't want healthy defenses in the Super Bowl. You want the gun ho offenses. Like Ravens, Niners, kind of a snooze. Just a repeat of what we've seen. The worst one is undoubtedly Eagles Chiefs. That's like, come on, anything but that. I think Detroit in the Super Bowl is really fun. Seems unlikely with them really banged up on D. I think the Cowboys are a fine Super Bowl team. It really seems like the NFC, though, is like, it's got to be San Fran, Philly, or Dallas. So it's kind of an interesting spot because, like, no one really should take Bills players, and I have enough Davis and Kincaid that I'm just going to leave them. And if someone wants to take them, that's fine. Because, yeah, I don't need them, and I can take infinitely other Bills players and or Lions players and or Eagles players. I'm not saying they need to stop playing defense. I do think it's pretty lame, though, that like NFC teams are donating studs to the 49ers at the trade deadline. Like what the Panthers did is fine. But what the Commanders did is like, you're selling Chase Young for peanuts to a team in your own conference. Like, why not at least ship him out to the AFC? Yeah, anyone who bought Dolphin stacks last week down bad, they're now getting free. I could see the Dolphins losing this game against the Jets too. I think the um I think the Dolphins would be insane to play Tyreek unless it's like unquestionable he is healthy. Like if there's a 10% chance Tyreek Hill re-aggravates an injury that ends his season, you're either telling me you don't think you have any chance to make the Super Bowl, which I don't. So this is a win for my process here because now I get the two best Bills players to stack with. And I got the Lions guys. And so, yeah, I mean, what do you take off your tinfoil hat? People are just drafting for what helps their team. Not trying to not help my team to actively spite your own team would be dumb for someone. But yeah, it's a nice team. It's built for Bills, Eagles, Bills, Lions. Kind of chalky for those mentioned Super Bowls. It's got a better shot in Bills, Lions. Just has a higher quantity of players. But yeah, I like it playing. But yeah, I mean, if you're the Dolphins and your doctors and whatever are telling you, hey, no, like Tyreek should not play. I believe what Tyreek Hill said is, I cannot cut for the rest of the year, which is absurd. Someone really wanted to see my Bills exposures. I've already posted this online, but happy to show you. Got a lot of Bills. I used to think Ravens were a solid bet for the Super Bowl, but then looking at their schedule, which I think is a real edge other people don't do, I don't know. That's hard to sign up for. So got a lot of Bills in this contest. And yeah, I mean, my personal philosophy with the NFL playoff contest is I like to play it like this, where it's the years that the Bills make the Super Bowl, I'm lining myself up to win the contest. The years they don't, I lose. And that's okay. Oh, apologies, house. My bad. It's not collusion. I mean, maybe it was, but it is bizarre. Is Josh Allen the 102 if the Bills were a lock in the playoffs? No, I think we've seen for whatever reason that skill players just go ahead of their quarterbacks no matter the value of them. But he is a first round pick in that case because we see Jalen Hurts do that, who's very unlikely to get the bye right now. But yeah, anyways, just to finish the Tyreek thought, like it's insane for Tyreek to play this week. The Dolphins are 96% to make the playoffs right now. Now, if you want to say, hey, let's play a hobbled Tyreek, this is our best chance to win this game, and then we'll rest them against Buffalo, Dallas, and Baltimore, I also think that's an acceptable course of action. But if you're being told by your people that, hey, no, if he goes out there, there's a serious risk of bad things happening, well, then what you're telling me is like, you don't believe in your chances to go far if you're playing him, and that's true. Because that's just dumb, right? You don't do anything to jeopardize winning the Super Bowl. You don't chase a regular season record, which Tyreek Hill wants, I personally don't think the Josh Allen MVP bet is a good bet because there seems to be a lot of bias out there. Now, I'm not as ingrained in who actually votes for this MVP thing, but if it's at all casual people and or people in sports media, that worries me for that being a realistic thing. It just seems like there's enough mouth breathers out there who are like, the Bills stink, or look at the Josh Allen turnovers, like just like spouting ESPN talking head things. That just seems to be really tough for him to win in a year where the Bills are not like unquestionably the best team. So even though I think he fits the definition, and I think, he'll be like very battle tested if he wins all these games and it'll be very impressive. Like, I just don't see the voters doing that, and I don't like to like leave up bets based on what media people will do. It just seems like Purdy's already won that bet to me. I am not saying this because I want the Bills to win the division. If the coin was the other shoe and Diggs was having a historic year and the Bills had locked in their playoff chances, I would be pissed off if Diggs was playing regular season meaningless games. I would be. I didn't want them to play Von Miller at all last year before all this allegation stuff until like December. Like where's the upside on that? Yeah, I mean, maybe Tyreek doesn't think they're good enough. And so that's why he wants to do it. But that's my take on it. And not upset. I think that's just upsetting to people because they probably just like have Tyreek Hill in best ball contests. So they're just like, no, you got to play him. And yeah, so like either, and if he's not injured and it's not a big deal, well then okay, that's okay. Then obviously you play him if that's the case. Let's do a playoff weekly winners. As always, we got to grind what this actual format is. You're donating if you don't do that, in my opinion. So it's like other playoff best ball contests, blah, blah, blah. Entrance select players through a snake draft, blah, blah, blah. You're only competing against others in your group, but the rest of the people, okay. Okay, that all makes sense. I guess we got to read this little slip here. 150 entries, 25K paid out each week. So each week, someone gets 5K. 10% of the contestants. Actually, how big is this? Whatever. Top 500 get their money back on an entry. Yeah, so I think it's a fun contest. The prizes are not like huge, but I mean, it is pretty nice. They're giving out 25K a week. So I'm in this playoff best ball one if you want to draft with me. It's my first one doing this. You need to ask yourself which week you want to play for. Do you want to play for week one, in which case you can just take a hodgepodge of skill players? Or do you want to play for the Super Bowl? Like, arguably, the Super Bowl week is an easier week to play for in this contest. However, why aren't, might as well do the gauntlet if you get a full Super Bowl team through. Now, you don't need to advance to your team, right? Like, your team is alive each week no matter what. So, yeah, just like, I definitely think lineups of just a full onslaught of like 49ers Chiefs, for example, two teams we know are making the playoffs and could be a Super Bowl, sounds like a viable thing. I also think just doing like teams I would never do in a gauntlet contest, like that couldn't field a Super Bowl roster, is fine to do and just play for the early weeks where you're facing more people like that. Have you drafted any new Rams players? I did, but when I clicked through the schedule last week, and I'm going to do that again probably, it seemed like a long shot to me for them to make the playoffs, even if they win these winnable games. Good luck to everyone out there. No. Mainly because my strategy was the 100% Buffalo, and so it's like I was drafting like, Bills players instead of them. The NFC 6, 7 seed seems pretty up in the air. Let's see what they got right now. It's kind of hard for Green Bay or Minnesota not to make it. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, pick all the games again, but yeah. Maybe I'll do that again next week. People are arguing with me that so yeah, Tyreek for this contest is awesome because it's like, sure, dude, bounce week 1. I don't care. And with me taking Tyreek there, I definitely want a player not having the bye. Let's just take Mahomes. Let's just build a weird one. We're playing for week 1. People are trying to tell me that the Dolphins are not a lock to make the playoffs. Well, all I can tell you is the New York Times playoff simulator has them at a 96% chance to make it. Click win percentage in the pull down and it autofills. Yeah, you could do that, or you could do top offense. We can do that, sure. I mean, win percent though is like a pretty bad one because it won't have Buffalo making it. Right? Like, no, that's not happening. If you do offensive rank, well, last week it would have Buffalo in, but now it doesn't. Away team, home team. I don't know. The People's AFC is the Texans make it, which seems really unlikely now. The Bengals make it and the Bills make it. That's my preferred AFC. Oh, okay. Then you can tweak the games. Yeah, so let's just choose Buffalo this week. Let's have Buffalo for Miami. Oh God, Miami misses the playoffs then. I mean, I guess Miami's not even a lock to make the playoffs. Give me this Tyreek Hill pick back because they could go 0-4. I don't know, man. This Jets game. Yes. And also, like, I don't know, if you look through the Colts schedule, it's like, do you really believe Gardner Minshew? First off, it has effing ties. It has 2 ties. So, no, that's not happening. Let's choose the Vikings and let's choose the Colts. And now the Dolphins are in there. We got to get rid of the ties. Let's have the Bengals winning that. It's just yeah, that's awful. It just has everything is a tie. I'm not going through and fixing all the ties. No, but I think the Dolphins could lose every game and they still make the playoffs a large clip of the time. Just because it tie breaks. I looked through it the other day on the New York simulator. Okay. Achan and Rishi. The Dolphins score a lot in a loss to the Bills, or they win. Okay. If the Dolphins lose to the Jets, they are still 85% to make the playoffs. If they lose all their games, 20%. Hmm. I mean, so that kind of like that leans me to the strategy. And what happens if they beat the Jets? If they beat the Jets and lose the other three, they make it 95%. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe you highly optimize. You keep Tyreek active. You play the game. You see how it's going against the Jets. If it's at all competitive in the second half, or you start losing, you play Tyreek with the plan to sit him the other games. Nomad, I'm gonna ban you from my channel if you keep on doing this stuff. Like, please, 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 this is not the place to whine about your bet slips and like claim that the NFL is colluding against you or something. You second time you've done this stuff, man. Just this is not the place for it. Do it on Twitter, do it anywhere else. Don't do it in my Discord. Link to join that in the YouTube description below. I tried to put him in timeout and it might have just banned him by accident. So whatever. That might have been a misclick by me, but fuck around and find out, you know? All right. The Lions are almost assuredly making the playoffs. Let's get Gibbs in there, high ceiling. Let's get Laporta in there. I was reading the two options, and the one option is put user in a timeout, which I tried to do, and the other option said ban them and delete their comments. And I wanted to mute him, or I wanted to put him in timeout and delete his comment, but all it says is he was banned and their comments were removed. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean those people are the worst. So I don't know. Maybe it's a sign I'm getting bigger that we got people complaining about nonsense in my YouTube channel. Yeah, there's been a couple rips, man. People F around in the Discord. I promise you, I do not want to sit around in my Discord all day and have to actively monitor insane people. So, not the place for craziness. But the link to join that is below. And if you're not up and running on Underdog Fantasy, I got a promo link for you down below to get up and running as well. And please, for the holidays, just give me a subscription. Click that little button for me. Maybe a like button. Do it. Do it. Do it. We don't need to go there, Cal. It was taken care of. So I've not been paying attention to this draft. I was gonna build out a bill stack too, but whatever. We got enough bills, I guess. Can't tell if I want another quarterback. Doesn't hurt to throw on Goff, because like then I'm actually alive for a Super Bowl even. Okay. I don't know. I don't love this, but I don't really have like enough guys at the wide receiver tight end position, but I guess we'll tack 2 on and figure it out. This guy's got another account with the same name. He said, "It's all right. I have a ton of accounts." I guess I did put him in timeout. All right. Well, no. We just can't have that. I must have put him in a timeout and it showed it on that end. All right. I'm not going to kick you. No, I have it's nothing to do with Underdog sponsoring a show or two of mine, but yeah, we'll just ban this. Sorry, we don't need this, and you don't need us. You know, you're not here. You're not here for what I'm putting out. There used to be a guy before I won 2 more best ball contests last year that would just post on every single one of my videos. I just got lucky at best ball, which like okay, fine. I don't really care if that's your opinion. But he also got nasty, and then he just stopped commenting after I won. So RIP to that guy. Yeah, I mean, who's that Greek guy where you cut off the head of Hercules, cut off his head, and like 5 more popped up? It's okay. I have tons of. So I did click timeout. It just shows the same thing, and then that time I banned him. Which, no offense, Viking, is just not the place. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, arguably I got lucky at BBM2, but I also actively thought about how to win it and put a lot of, and took exploitative edges. So it's like, was I lucky to win such a large contest? Of course. Did I have an edge in drafting? Almost assuredly. Did I have some sharp takes that paid off? Yes. You know, you DM me on Twitter and I'll send you some old Russian chess book that you can print off at like a Staples. Or DM me on in the Discord is what I meant. Or just go on the chess channel and say at Liam and I'll post it to you. All right, what the hell are we doing? Jameson Williams is gonna win me money one of these weeks. Might as well be this contest. Are there like no other Chiefs players? Kadarius Toney? F no. It was always Dalton Kincaid. How nutted did you have to be to win a high stakes tourney? Not that nutted at all. Could be nutted. Rams go 3-1. They are in. I'm not sure, man. I would love that to be true, but when I looked the other day, that was not the case. I really don't know how to get around this other than just continuously refreshing it. Obviously, I'm not paying for this. But the Rams is the only team you don't let me use the site for? Fine. All right, let's do offensive rank and get rid of the ties here. And let's have the Rams going 3-1. Yeah, so this has the Rams as going 3-1, and they're not in. They lose the tiebreak to Minnesota and Packers. And let's see how, I mean, the Minnesota's got Viking or Bengals winnable. They lost this game to Detroit, which they could win, you know. They beat Green Bay, which they could lose or win. And they lost to the Lions again. So this has the Vikings going 2-2 and the Packers going beating Tampa seems doable. Beating Panthers seems likely. Beating or losing to the Vikings and beating the Bears. So what happens if we lose them a game? The Rams get in. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I would put it at, assuming the Rams do finish 3-1, I would put it at 50% they make it. Because I could see the Packers losing to the Bears for sure, or Tampa, and like I'm pretty sure it's the same result. Yeah. So I could see the Rams getting in there. What is even going on here? This is that guy? He just refuses to go away? All right, fine, dude. We just got to get you out of here. All right. Rams are plus 110. Yeah, that seems fair. Their coin flip is what I just said. Yeah. I mean, they definitely could be helped. I would like the Rams to make the playoffs. Like, my ideal playoff is let's get the Browns out of there. Let's get the Bengals in somehow. God damn. How do we have the Browns finishing? Okay. This is the ideal AFC playoffs. And honestly, this is one of the ideal NFC playoffs. Like, either Saints or Falcons, do not care. And then Rams for sure. And so it comes down to Seattle, Vikings, Packers. Like, maybe I like the Packers a little bit better than the Seahawks. But who cares? You know? So this would be a nice playoffs, honestly. Houston's the tough one with Davis Mills, but their schedule's a cakewalk. All right, guys, that's going to do it from me. Good luck to me. Good luck to you this weekend. We got week 15. Drop a like, hit the subscribe, join my Discord. Link to join is in the YouTube description below. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace.